That's why they paid the big bucks. And we're underway now in the women's C1 5000.
Very good start for the U-Race on the outside there in the red boat and the Hungarian in the middle.
I guess early on you just sort of want to try and get your bearings, get a feel for the water, get a feel for the wind. You don't really need to bust a boiler too early on, do you? You just want to make sure that you're in touch. If you choose to sit midfield and get yourself a comfortable pace.
That's one advantage of having the small field. So you'll see in the bigger fields later on that the guys have to get out really hard to get good positions on the wash. But the smaller field, you could be a bit more measured. You can wash lead in a C1, but it's a lot more challenging than a kayak. So we'll see if any of the athletes choose to use that tactic effectively or whether it will just be more of a time trial.
So it looks like it is one of the Hungarians, boat number 3. Oh no, it's Romasenko, the neutral athlete who's gone into the lead as we might have expected. Romasenko, she's a very accomplished canoe paddler. The 2 Hungarians are there, and the 2 Czechs, and the American is there. In fact, only one of the Czechs there. Looks like the other one might have fallen off the back already. And the American, Andrea Gazilla, putting up a brave show early on, sticking with them.
All 5 of those boats look very comfortable, especially the 2 Hungarians and the neutral athlete. The Czech paddler seems to be just using the wash there, using it very nicely to her advantage. Perhaps save some energy into this big headwind off the start.
So there will be an advantage, of course, if you can get in someone's wash, especially coming into the breeze. You get a bit of protection as well. But at the moment, they're 3 wide here at the front, which I'm sure that won't last for too long. They'll start to get in single file at some stage. But Romasenko not happy to give up the lead. She wants to hold on to it. There's a Hungarian on her outside. I think that is Kizban to her outside, and then Zagavaya as well up there in that first 3. The Czech holding on, as Callum said, sitting in the wash at the moment, and now the American Gazilla has tacked on to the back of that group.
It's a tough moment for the Czech athlete there. She just tried to climb the wave into the V-wash at the back, which is the best wash in a kayak, and I'm assuming in a sea as well, but she just missed it, and that's why she's lost her length. The wave was too big for her.
So at this stage, it is Hungary 1 and 2. And it looks like Romasenko now happy to sit back in 3rd position. So let the 2 Hungarians take up the running here. Then we have the Czech paddler and then the American Gazilla as well. So now they're starting to string out in single file, which is what you would expect, especially with a bit of wind to deal with. So it looks like the 2 Hungarians going out together. Can anybody else hold on? That is Kizban there in the green boat, and next to her is her Hungarian teammate Zagavai. So Hungary 1 and 2. Romasenko 3rd.
The C1s always string out so much around the turns, so the turns are going to be really challenging for these athletes, and a very good opportunity for Kizban in the front here to go on the attack and try and get a gap even before the first portage.
So Kizban, I think, already has a C1 1000 gold from this week, so she's already tasted some success on the shorter distance.
It always builds confidence when you've had a good weekend so far. You come into this race and it's the last race and you're confident and really feeling good about yourself.
You know, the Hungarians are blowing the rest of the field away a little bit here. We can see Romasenko perhaps in danger here of losing touch with the lead 2.
The Hungarians have a phenomenal program across all disciplines.
Yeah,
they really are such a powerhouse. It's incredible, and lots of hard work goes on behind the scenes in Hungary to make this possible, and it's always a demonstration. Any Hungarian can race and always perform. Truly is incredible.
Yeah, and we get to see that every year when we come here to Szeged, just the incredible depth. We had the women's team just a couple of days before the first race. They changed it completely. A lot of the big name athletes were taken off the list and replaced with some younger athletes. Whether they turn up in Poznan, we'll have to wait and see. All right, here we go. Let's see how this is always a bit tricky.
Very calm from the front Hungarian.
Yeah.
She really took her time there and made sure no mistakes. One mistake in this race could cost you, so I'd rather take it slightly calm and composed and then try and catch up on the water almost. Keep your heart rate under control, because what happens is you get in and all the blood's in your legs and then you can't paddle anymore. So I'd rather keep it controlled and then push hard once you're on the water again.
I mean, basically, you South Africans, you learn to portage before you can walk.
Yeah.
Most of you. I mean, all the marathon paddlers are very, very efficient at it, and you get to do it as second nature, don't you?
Yeah, we get very used to it. Like where I grew up at the club, they used to do a portage session once a week, nearly all year round. It's incredible. Compared to everyone else, we feel a lot more comfortable on the portage, and some of the portage sessions we do crazy. We'd have the coach standing, would be a beach portage, and he would like knock you as you got in, so you'd be like stable. You get used to chaos happening.
So just to test you out. I think Romasenko made an absolute mess of that re-entry from her portage. I think the Czech and the American have both gone past her. We'll wait for confirmation when we get the big picture, but I think she made an absolute... There are the two Hungarians out in front. Now, if we get a wider view in a moment, we'll see where Romasenko is, but I think she's fallen back. I think she made an absolute mess of that portage. Took forever to get back in her boat, and while she was doing that, the Czech and the American both went past her. So we'll just see in a moment, though. But look at Kisban out in front. She's looking very comfortable at the moment.
Stroke so long, she's looking relaxed, gritting the teeth a little, but it looks controlled. I back her to go all the way from here, but we'll see. That's the nice thing about the 5,000 meter racing. Lots of time for tactics, lots of time for mistakes, so we'll see if the athletes can hold it together in the second half.
So Kisban at the moment in front. Her Hungarian teammate now just in a bit of no person's land there in the middle of between the first and the third paddler. But they are starting to string out. We haven't seen now who's moved into third, but it's Kisban in front. Zagavai sitting second. We've got a couple more portages to go, so you never know what could happen at those moments.
Lots of opportunities for mistakes, especially as they get further into the race, the athletes will really begin suffering, and that's when people make mistakes.
So I'm just looking out the window here from my vantage point. And it looks like sitting in third, I reckon it might be the Czech who's moved up into third, and the American sitting in fourth. And I think that the neutral athlete Romasenko has fallen right back. But we'll just wait for it. It is in the distance, so I'm straining a little bit, but I reckon that's the way I can see it from here.
Yes, the Czech athlete's looking strong in third, and the American, they're very close together.
And Romasenko really did make a mess of that portage, and she is right back now. She's fallen right off the pace. So here we have the leader. This is Sofia Kisban. She's coming down now for a second portage. Next to her, behind her, it is Zagavai from Hungary. You have to be careful, don't you, Callum, going around these buoys, because if you go on the wrong side, if you do something wrong, you've got to then go and do a circle and come back around.
Well, when you say that, I just think of Hamish Lovemore, a fellow South African a few years ago in the Under-23 World Championship. He was leading the race, and Mr. Boy, he caught up to third, but...
That was an absolute heartbreak for him. He just... I remember, I don't think I was commentating that race, but I just remember that. I just thought, oh my goodness, he's just thrown that away. But there you can see, you got the big picture there. We saw the Czech sitting in third and the American fourth. And there at the top of your screen, you can see the neutral athlete sitting right back now in fifth position.
It'll be interesting to see if the athletes try and use this downwind section almost as a bit of recovery. So really push the pace into the wind and then just try and stretch out and keep the strokes long on the downwind into the portage. Maybe save some energy.
I'm looking out from my window here, and I think the Czech may be starting to make up a bit of ground on the second Hungarian, so maybe there's going to be a bit of a challenge there. There you go, you get a bit of a look-see there. The Czech is, I think, making up a little bit of ground on Zagavai, so we'll keep an eye on that contest.
It also keeps the pressure on the second Hungarian. If one mistake, the Czech's there, and then more mistakes come when you're side by side, and the pressure builds. She's running well. Those boats, the C1's a very heavy boat at 14 kilograms.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it doesn't look like a long way, but I can tell you, when you've been sitting there, especially in a canoe, here she is, the first of the Czechs. I think that's Malikova, is sitting in third position. Right, now, don't get this wrong, because there is not much there.
very tricky in the C1 to
It
get
really
like
is,
that.
isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
especially it's choppy out there. I paddled earlier and it's choppy. The waves, the boats were really bouncing around in the final earlier today, so
the
the
Czech
athletes will struggle.
and the American, they're quite close together now in 3rd and 4th position. That'll be useful, Callum, pushing each other along. It's much easier, I think, so they tell me, when you've got someone to paddle alongside and to push you alongside than when you're out by yourself.
If I was one of those girls now, I'd say to them, literally like 150 meters each, as fast as you can,
Yep.
wash leads, and you could really catch that Hungarian.
So it now looks like it is Gazilla who's moved into 3rd position. The Czech going very wide there on that corner.
Very wide. I think she's struggling with the side wind. Oh, the Czech looks really tired in that photo. Hopefully she finds a second win. But
Yep.
the American looks smooth and strong,
Oh
and
my
here we have the
goodness.
neutral athlete really struggling.
I don't think she's been. I don't think she's been doing much practice
No.
in the portages. Roma. Good on her though for being out here paddling, because it's only a small field, so it's good to see her paddling. But she is really losing a lot of time on that portage.
It's great to have seen the C1 women's field, especially in the 200, and the C2 500 is so strong now. It would be great to see some of the girls really push the limits and go for a 5,000 meter race in the future.
Now we have, see Daisy. This is Studnikova.
It was nice and calm. She's
Yep.
keeping it calm, no mistakes. And this is interesting. If they work together, they could really make a push for second.
Are they working together? It looks like they might be. I mean, it looks like that Gazilla's allowed Malikova to take over the lead there, so they can just keep pushing away. But unfortunately, only one of them can get a medal unless something happens to the first two. I think that's always the heartbreak, isn't it? If you're sitting there in a group of 4 and knowing that one of you is going to end up without a medal.
It adds so much to the tactics and the beauty
Yeah.
of the race, because like suddenly you don't know. You can either play around for third or go for second, and different athletes have different perspectives on what to go for. Some will go for first and not worry about the other 2 slots, but some will play for the third, and I think it adds a lot to the beauty and the intrigue of the sport. So it'll be interesting to see if they work together or if they start playing games with each other for third position.
You're watching the final afternoon of competition from the 2024 ICF First Sprint World Cup of the season here in Szeged in Hungary. My name's Ross Solly. Sitting with me is South African paddler Callum Davis, and we are watching at the moment the women's C1 5000, and it is the Hungarian out in front. She's been there since the start, Sofia Kisban.
She's gone very wide on the turn there. Fatigue's starting to set in, and that's when mistakes happen. So we'll see. She's got a good lead. She just mustn't make any mistakes. I think slower is better for her at this point. But she's starting to hunch a bit. The form, I think, is leaving a bit. But it's going to be tough for her.
She can afford to. She can afford to just take it easy and not take any risks, though, can't she?
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather a mistake will cost you that. So you'd rather go slightly slower and make no mistakes. In the background, you could see the Czech athlete went very wide at the turn there. She's actually dropped the American before the turn, but then the American's catching up on the turn, which is very fascinating because that could change in the final lap, the order.
So coming down here for the third portage, it is Hungary still first and second. The Czechs put a bit of distance between herself and the American.
I'm just trying to look at the flags there on the portage. It seems to coming from a little bit from the side now.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Slightly. That might hurt when you're tired and you're trying to carry the boat. It can get blown out your hand. And that'll be tricky for these athletes.
So good effort here from Kisban. She's made every poster winner in this race from the very early stages. As I mentioned, she's already won gold this week. And she's looking like she's going to make it a double gold with the women's C1 5000. Is that a smile or is that a grimace, Callum?
Definitely a grimace.
It's a grimace, I think, yeah. Not too much, not a lot of smiling going on.
This race is brutal. There's no smiling going on.
It really is, isn't it? It's such a great race. Oh, now here we go. Is there a bit of a move happening here? Malikova is out of the water. How far has she got to make up? There's Kisban in the lead. So they're both out of the water at the moment. This might be oh, goodness me.
She's tired.
She's very tired. And the Czech, the Czechian is right on her shoulder. And she looks across there. I think she's just had a sneaky look across. And she wouldn't have liked what she's seen because the Czech is now right up alongside her. Goes to show the Czech is obviously, we haven't really seen her portage, but she obviously is making up a bit of ground every time she portages.
Yes. She seems, if she can get her turns right, I think she could really make some good moves through the field. But the last 2 turns, she's gone very wide. So hopefully she'll get it right in the last few laps.
So there is the second of the Hungarians. That is Borka Zagovai. Now, how far behind her is Malikova from Czechia? Is she nearby? We'll get a better view in just a moment. There's our leader. She's well in front now. Something very strange. She'd have to be knocked out of her boat by a dolphin or some other marine animal to lose that gold medal, I think.
Don't jinx it before you know it's a fish will jump in your boat.
Yeah, there are. I have seen a few jumping fish here, so they are there.
In South Africa, the fish are famous for jumping in your boat
really?
in some of the places, yeah.
Are they edible fish? Could you take them in and say, look, not only have I been out paddling today, but I've also got dinner?
You probably could, yes.
Yeah.
Nice seafood for dinner after a hard training session.
Yeah.
She was running well here, the neutral athlete, really strong on the portage. She seems to be improving every single one.
So the leader, Kizban, continues to have it her way out in front. There's the second of the Czech paddlers, the Czechia paddlers, that is Studnikova. She's closing the gap a little bit. I'm sure she'd be happy to be catching up now to Romasenko. And I'm just looking out the window and I can confirm that the gap is closing between second and third. So it is Zagovai from Hungary, and she's been chased by Martina Malikova. The American has dropped back a little bit, although she's not out of the race for a medal, but she would really need to put her skates on over the final stages of the race. No doubt about our leader, though. She is well in control. Sofia Kizban.
She's still holding good form. The catch in the front when the blade enters the water is still so strong. Hungarians, they do a lot of endurance training, many of the groups, and it shows as they get results all the way from 200 meter all the way to the 5,000 and even a marathon.
So Kizban comes around the bend at the top of the course. She'll get a bit of a tailwind now, although as Callum said, it's sort of swung around a little bit to a bit more of a side on, but certainly not coming into her face as she comes down here.
It will be interesting to see if that wind switches more as the races progress. Right now, I don't think it's going to make a difference, but if it comes more and more from the side, it will wreak havoc in the portages for the later races.
So Kizban leads from her Hungarian teammate Zagovai, and I hope we can get on the camera. Maybe we can get a view in a moment of the distance between second and third. I'd like to see that just to show people at home just that it is closing up a little bit between second and third. So we'll just, there we go. That is definitely closing up.
It's possible to catch that, and there's still a long way to go.
And you know, Callum, as we saw at the last portage, the Hungarian is not so good, whereas the Czechian is very good, or much better at the portage. So maybe this is the portage where a move could be made.
Looking out the window at the Czech athlete, she's really powering along. This is going to get very interesting in the last stages.
So Kizban is now getting out of the boat. She's off on this portage. She doesn't even bother having to look over her shoulder. I reckon she can probably see there's a couple of big screens. When you're running down that portage there, you can see the big screen, so she can probably see in the background. She's got a bit of a gap.
She's still running well, looking strong. She just needs to keep this going to the finish now and no mistakes.
Right behind her. This is a very important portage because oh, look at this is now we're getting down to business. This is where the race could be won or lost. Well, certainly. Check what happened there. I think she's crashed a little bit into the.
Got excited.
I think. Pontoon. She's going to knock a flag over here as well. Nope, she's got up. Okay, can she make up that distance? Her re-entry is much better, or has been much better than Zagovai. Can she make up the ground here? She looks exhausted, doesn't she? She is.
It's taken everything for her to catch up.
Yep.
It will be very interesting to see how she handles this. Hopefully she has something left in the tank. She's done all the hard work, so she just needs to make it count now.
Oh, of course, every time she gets in, I feel nervous, but she's underway. She's back on the water, Zagavai. Where is the Czech? Here she is. Yeah, that's pretty good. That was pretty good from Malikova. So not a lot of distance lost there. The American is hanging on as well, not willing to give up on a possible medal.
These three athletes are so close. One mistake and the order will completely change. And as we've seen, when you're exhausted, mistakes come. It's just the nature of the game.
Yeah. That's Zagavai. She's paddling like a tired paddler.
Her eyes look focused, though. It's nice when they're not, for the athletes not to wear sunglasses. For us, I feel like we can see a little bit into their psyche and how they're doing. But obviously, I don't think you want that for your opposition to see. No. But you looked very focused in the eyes, turning around that boy there.
So Kisban continues to make every post a winner here. She has opened up a pretty big lead here on the rest of the field. The race for second is interesting. That's where the focus is at the moment, because Malikova from Czechia and the second of the Hungarians, Zagavai, they are having a really... Oh, yeah.
She was just trying to empty the boat there, but wasn't so successful.
No. She's now... I almost can't look when she goes to get back into the boat, because all sorts of dramas. I think we're just a wobble away from something very dramatic happening here.
She swaps sides every time, so it seems like she's only comfortable getting in on this side of the boat.
Yep.
Oof.
All right, here she goes.
Nice and slow.
Deep breath.
Yeah, it's all good.
Underway. Well done. Well done, Alessia Remesenko. She's back out on the water. Kisban coming up here for the turn, and then behind her, her teammate Zagavai continues to hold on to second. Malikova continues to hunt her down in third. We'll try and get a picture for you in just a moment of what's going on in the battle for second and third, because there is still just a little gap between the second and the third. There we go. Look at that. It's
so close.
It is close. It's going to be a really tight finish. It's going to come down, Callum, to who's got the more petrol in the tank, I think, after this grueling race. It really is grueling, isn't it?
The Czech athlete's closing in there.
She is, yep.
Hopefully not using too much energy. You see the Hungarian coach shouting commands on the sideline, trying to keep his athlete composed. And we'll see if she can keep it together in second there.
So at the front of the field, Kisban has made the turn after the top bend, and now we have Zagavai just... Whoa, look at this. Now the move is happening. The move is happening. Czechia is making the big move. Martina Malikova, she's been biding her time. What are we going through the mind? Oh, my goodness.
That side wind on the turn.
Yeah, and she's looked the wrong way, so she hasn't seen the Czechian. She must be able to hear her, though.
You'll feel her there. No, the games begin.
And yeah, if she has a glance across now, she's going to have her heart broken, because the Czechian has grown some extra strength here and maybe has now moved into outright second. I've lost count. Are we coming down? Is this the last portage? I think it might be, is it?
There's no bell. We'll hear the bell if it is. It's so hard to keep count with all these laps now.
I think, well, it's Kisban is on the portage now. Let's see if we can hear the bell. Well, she's giving a wave to the crowd, so I reckon that's a sure sign.
Confident, very confident athlete.
A sure sign that this is the last portage, but where's the bell?
She's running faster than the other portages.
Yeah.
Definitely. Got the adrenaline and a sniff of the finish line can change a tired athlete into a very excited athlete.
So she is back on the water, but behind us is what's happening. Look at this. There's the bell. Thank you very much, bell ringer. Look at this. They're coming to the portage almost at exactly the same time. Now, again, Malikova struggled. Oh,
both athletes struggled.
They're both struggling. There's a bit of stress going on here.
Oh, this is a big fight. Both athletes are completely exhausted. It's going to come down to who can dig the deepest and who can keep it all together. Might be a very fascinating end sprint.
This is what makes the 5,000 such a great event. After all this effort, after all this time, we come down to the portage. And look at the American. She's not out of it.
There.
She is not out of it. If she has something left, she could maybe put in a big final spurt and get herself into the medals. Oh, that
that turn, and the American's there.
Well, there's not much of a change happened during that portage, but I think the Chechen has moved into the lead. Not the lead, but she's moved into outright second. They should be very happy with that.
Hungarian had a better turn. It's these psychological games
so
now.
Close. It is so close.
Before you know it, it's all psychology now. It's who's looking strong, who's looking weak. Try and get your nose in front, see if you can break the other athlete, or then you tap off.
Now the Czechian's made another big move. She doesn't like these corners, does she? She hates them.
No, and she's got one to get right at the top. Yeah, and it'll be a fascinating last 300 meters. But
don't think she would want to be sitting behind going into that last bend. So will she make a move on this stretch here? What has the Hungarian got left? I fancy the Czechian's got a bit more petrol in the tank. She seems to be looking a bit stronger than the Hungarian, but eyes can deceive. No doubt, though, I think there's no question at all that our gold medal will go to Sofia Kisban. It's been an impressive performance, but who will get the silver? It's Malikova against Zagavai. It's Czechia against Hungary in the battle for second and third. And where's the American? I'm just craning my neck outside the window here to see if I can get a view of the American, because she wasn't that far behind on the last portage.
Big move from Malikova, coming in line with the Hungarian. So she's overtaken there, but she's on the outside for the turn. She might try and cut that boy. Oh, no, the Hungarian's fighting back.
Yeah.
Big mind games.
She's not going to let her in. Yeah. She is not going to let her in. They've got a long way to go still, though, before they get to the bend. So a lot can happen, but look at these two. They are fighting against each other.
Stroke for stroke.
Yep.
This is incredible.
They can both make sure they get a medal here, but it's just what colour. It's much nicer to finish that with a silver than a bronze. Meanwhile, the leader, Sofia Kisban, has gone around the bend. She's almost completed the bend for the last time, and then will race down for the gold medal. I wonder if she'll allow herself the opportunity now to have a sneaky look across the course to see what's happening behind her. But she looks pretty focused, doesn't she? She just wants to get her job done. She wants to get down and cross that finish line. Still very even behind. We're coming up here. Well, now look at this move.
Fantastic move from
Perfect time,
Malikova.
too. You were right, Callum. Well called, mate. She's made the move just before they go around the bend. She did not want to be stuck on the outside. Has the Hungarian got anything to give?
It's also trying to mentally break the Hungarian before the end sprint, get it done before the nitty-gritty right in the end.
Well, this has been a really big move here from Malikova. She's moved into the silver medal position, and now she's just got this straight stretch to the finish line. She's actually done quite a good corner there too.
Saving it for the last one, and looking at the Hungarian's body language.
You reckon she's thrown in the towel?
Yeah, no, I think just the Czechs won that battle, psychologically.
Yeah. Well, she wants to be a little bit careful because the American she's got a bit of ground to make up, but as you get close to that finish line, you can already smell the medal opportunity. But well done to Sofia Kisban. She's going to come down now and take the gold medal for the women's C1 5000. That really was an impressive race from the young Hungarian. Went out there very, very hard and blew the rest of the field away. Congratulations. She looks pretty happy.
Big wave to the home crowd.
Yep.
Another gold medal for Hungary.
And coming in behind, there we go. That is a very good, very well judged race from Malikova. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. Borka Zagavai, the second Hungarian, she's not yet 20. She's 9. She was born in 2004, so she's possibly just turned 20 or maybe 19, so she has got a big future in front of her as well. But congratulations to Martina Malikova coming down now.
Great medal for Czechia.
Moves in to take the silver. Congratulations, Martina Malikova. The bronze will go to Borka Zagavai. She looks absolutely spent, doesn't she? But she's learned a lot today, I reckon.
She's given it her all, and that's all you can ask from any athlete.
And then not far behind her, she's going to get rid of it. Oh, yeah, she looks like she wants to leave a little bit of her lunch somewhere for the fish.
Yes, there'll be As a coach, if I was a coach, I'd be super happy with that performance.
Yeah.
Just gave it everything.
If she gets to the end and she can't even breathe and just wants to throw up, then you've got to say, yep, you put everything out there. And look at Romasenko. She was in the mix, but then that very first portage, Callum, and just made an absolute pig's ear of it, and has just struggled to get back into the race since then. And every time she's got out on the deck, she's struggled to get back into the water, and it's just lost her so much time every time. I mean, the portages, as you would know, Callum, having done marathon, you can't underestimate just how important they are in terms of making up time or losing time.
They completely changed the race. It changes everything about the 5,000 meters since they've been added. It makes it almost less tactical on the water, but there's always chaos at the portage, and you always have to be awake, and you definitely get more tired, especially with the 5 portages in the 5,000, and 5 opportunities for mistakes, 5 opportunities to capitalize on other people's mistakes. So it really, you get some weird stuff happening, but it creates a fantastic spectacle for everyone watching and a big challenge for athletes.
I remember in the early days of the 5,000 metres, Fernando Pimenta, he used to, I mean, he's so fast over the water, but he was just absolutely useless on the portage and doing really, really weird things and carrying kayaks on his head, and he'd keep breaking his rudder, and just every time he went out there was a bloody kerfuffle. I think he's sorted that out now. We'll see in a little while, because he'll head off in the men's K1 5,000. But he, I think, was one who really, really struggled, even though he is a marathon paddler himself, isn't he? He's done a lot of marathon.
World champion in K2.
Correct.
Yeah, so he's improved it a lot, and he's worked very hard on it. And Pimenta is an incredible athlete, and once he puts his mind to something, I think he'll be very fast this afternoon, even on the land.
Yep. So well done there to Romasenko, managing to complete the race. And Klara Studnikova, I mentioned there about Zagabaj being a teenager. Klara Studnikova, she is definitely, I think she's only 18 years of age, the young Czechian. So well done to Klara. She's finishing off the race now. Just a great experience for her to get out there on the water and to get a bit more experience, a bit more race experience, Callum, which is pretty important at a big event like this.
It's so important to gain experience, and the good countries do it right. They really try and expose their athletes to high-level racing from early on. I feel like the Europeans have a slight advantage in this area because there's so many regattas in Europe, and they just get them going. But it's for the rest of the world, one of the keys is how you can expose your athletes to international racing, and the 5,000 meters is a fantastic opportunity.
And it's a bit hard. I mean, we can talk a little bit now, if you like, between the breaks between the two races, but in South Africa, of course, you've got it's a big country and people are spread out all over the place. It's hard to get everyone together to have those good training and competition style hitouts, isn't it?
It's very challenging. Like when we had a selection race in Cape Town 2 years ago, now I live in Durban. It's a 2-day drive.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Why didn't you paddle around?
I think that takes them longer than 2 days.
Paddle around the Cape of Good Hope or whatever?
Oh, Cape Point Challenge is a surf ski race, and you do paddle around the Cape Point. It's an incredible experience. If anyone's looking for a real challenge, it's 56 kilometers, 25 to 30 kilometers into the wind, and then downwind home, down the famous Miller's Run in Cape Town. Great fun surf ski challenge if anyone's looking. Maybe we could get whoever wins the K1000 meter in Paris, you can come down off season. Whether it's anyone that can win that race. But
now, is that considered to be a tougher race than the Doozy?
The Doozy is its own category of race.
The Doozy is
it's
like
a running race.
I mean, it's like, and I've seen some years, because you've had a few years down there of drought, haven't you, Callum? So there were some years there where we barely had any water at all.
In 2015, they ran 20 kilometers on the final day with a 12 kg boat. And we've got the 14, 13-time winner of the Doozy's actually raced here this weekend, Andy Burkett.
Andy Burkett, who I believe he's earned selection for
he's
Paris,
going to Paris. Right? Yeah, the Doozy legend, and he's got that race waxed. I wouldn't want to race him in the Doozy.
Tell you what, so if they have a water shortage in Paris though, and they've got to do a little bit of a portage at some stage, then
Andy Burkett will definitely win.
Andy Burkett will be your man.
Guaranteed.
Kizban takes the gold. Malikova timing her run to perfection. Snatched the silver for Czechia, and Hungary through Zagabaj picking up the bronze as well.